Freaking love this song. But anyways, welcome back to part 2 of What If Deku Was Kreig from Borderlands. So, I am going to, since we have Lilith, we have Maya, I'm going to add Axton, Salvador, and the rest of the Vault Hunters we know so far, which is Roland, Brick, Mordecai, we have Amara. I'm going to add in Flack as a teacher for UA. Because he's a robot, he doesn't change. Frag Trap is going to be... He is just going to be there. I'm obviously going to add Claptrap. He's freaking hilarious. I'm going to add him. But right now I'm just laying out who I'm adding. So I'm adding all the Vault Hunters. So Mose is going to be there. Amara is already there. Lilith is there. Who else? Zane. I'm not going to say what I'm going to do with Zane, but Zane's going to be there. Gage is Melissa. Maya is Toga. I may just say Maya, but Toga is being replaced by Maya, so Toga is not going to be in the LOV. Who else? Salvador, Gage. Well, Gage is going to be in the support course with May. May is going to be Mose. Because I feel like they just fit in personality-wise. May loves her babies, as she calls them, and Mose loves her Iron Bear. So I'm just going to say that when May found out that she was a Vault Hunter descendant, she immediately started working with machines thinking, oh, I'm either Gage because of my crazy personality, or I am a different Vault Hunter descendant that works with technology. Because I'm just going to say that there's stories of that multiple children have been showing off insane intelligence with battle strategy, durability, the ability quirks to print bullets, and the ability to control two guns. Because I'm going to say Doll, Hyperion, Vladolf, Doll, Hyperion, Vladolf, Iridian, Bandit. Bandit's going to be in here. Scav. Because yes, I'm taking this to multiple planets. Anshin. They're all in here. And they've all made high-tech weaponry that everybody has. No matter who you are, everybody has. Killing is fine. The Hero Society is like, we only get called in when there's a massive threat. And we have a additional higher tier, the Vault Hunters, tier that is whenever or you get called in, they find a universe destroying threat. They call in the Vault Hunters because they know that the Vault Hunters have special abilities that was passed down through generations that only they can use to help destroy the threat. And another thing is to make sure sirens don't randomly go to people. The sirens basically made a pact with the Iridians. This was before the fall of the vaults. The Iridians to kill the siren that's giving birth. So the powers of the sirens gets transferred to the child of the siren, and sort of the personality, because Maya was the caring, loving person, but she did have somewhat of a sadistic side. If you look at her skill tree, she did. Okay, hold on. That was a great song. Oh, damn it. Gallery. There you go. Props to these people for making this great image. But the I have to say the siren's abilities side effects. The abilities of the siren completely cancel out the side effects of the quirks. So I'm just going to say Toga's original ability was the ability to complete it. She has Stain's ability from the Stain arc, where it's Blood Curdle, where she has to lick the blood of the person, and the side effect is that it only has a certain time limit. But Toga's is its flat time limit of an hour, depending on how much blood she has, instead of the type and how much. So she can turn it on and off too. Stain couldn't. He can only turn it on. He can't turn it off. Time limit turns it off. So I'm gonna just say it's been a year. Kreig has grown really close to Maya, and Maya has grown really close to Kreig, but Maya doesn't show it because she's mainly annoyed that Kreig can't talk like a normal person. But she's found out a way to understand him, and when Kreig is talking, she found out a way to be like, okay, if he's hungry, he says this. If he's not hungry, he says this. If he said means yes, this means no. So him saying yes is strip the flesh, salt the wound. But when he's going completely crazy, he starts laughing, and she's like, oh crap, he's going berserk. Time to hold him still until he calms down. Then, when he says no, he says, I think it was a new crimson for the meat palette. I think that's what he says. for his one of his dialogue lines. So he starts conversing that way. And whenever he falls asleep, Maya starts seeing the three voices again. And the three voices start learning from Maya. The Kreig starts learning actual language skills. So he can say yes, no, and food. That's it. But all the other voices found out a way to talk to Maya, even though he's not. Kreig is not sleeping. I'm going to say another side effect of his quirk, the blood axe rampage. I'm just going to say the blood axe rampage is his quirk, and the ability to heal is the Vault Hunter's ability. So, Kreig has the ability of the Vault Hunter. Deku, the sane voice, who doesn't have any logic at all. He just talks and can calm down Kreig while just talking. And the logic voice tells them, that won't benefit us, that will. That's all he says. So the logic voice is more of the battle strategy. The crazy Kreig, or just Kreig, is more of the, I know how to fight, I'm a fight. And then Deku is all the emotions that he shows. So this has been a year. They've grown closer. Maya has taught Kreig 3 words successfully. But whenever he uses those words, he says that in a span of 10 times. So if someone asks him a question, he just says no, 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 no constantly, or yes, 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 like he's crazy, which he is. I had this all freaking planned out last night. It's been a year, and Kreig is currently sleeping. Maya walks into the room. She says hi to all of the Kreigs. And then she walks out. And then she's like, oh crap, I forgot to tell them. I'll tell them later. We skip 2 hours. Kreig finally wakes up. Then all of a sudden he just starts saying, no, 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 really loudly. Maya runs into the room asking what's wrong. Kreig is holding his head and has a stick of dynamite in his hand. And she's like, oh crap. He pulled out his dynamite without thinking. When he really is trying to get the voices out of his head. And trying to see the memories. Because if he's left alone and he's asleep, he starts to see the memories of the experiments, torture, and how his mind just started to splinter and then shatter. And he relives all the pain, all the suffering that he went through there. And then now Maya has ran into the room. He's screaming no as many times as he can. And in a few seconds, Maya phase locks the dynamite and throws it out the window as fast as she can. Then it blows up. All Might runs into the room, being like, what just happened? Maya immediately saying, I don't know. Get the therapist. I'm going to give the therapist a name now. I'm going to call her Jean. And ever since, I'm going to say that ever since she touched Kreig, her abilities have evolved. So now she can link as many minds as she wants to herself. But she can only talk to one person at a time. So if she's talking to Kreig, she can't talk to Maya, but everybody hears the conversation they're having, except for Kreig and Jean. They can't hear whoever's on the outside talking to them. So it's like a cone of silence, sort of. If Kreig and Jean are talking, a cone of silence goes around that they can't hear anybody else. So All Might, who has held Kreig and Toga at his place, or Deku and Toga at his place, because Deku, who doesn't know or can't say who his parents are because he doesn't know who they are because of how long it's been, and Toga has been an orphan for many years because of his quirk, because of her quirk. Her parents thought it villainous, so they just left her at an orphanage. So Deku and Toga have somewhat bonded over that. And the therapist arrives like 5 minutes later, asking what happened. And then Toga says that he was asleep. His personalities were out, and all of a sudden, he started screaming no. The therapist who's been checking up on him every week, once a week, they're supposed to go to her to the day that he had this episode. She walked in, she touched his forehead, shut her eyes, and went back to while he was sleeping, and she saw him accidentally killing Maya and him freaking out and trying to kill himself in the dream, which instinctually activated his fight for your life skill in Borderlands 2, which I'm going to say all the Vault Hunters, if they get shot in a vital place, they have a 30-second window with the ability of, if they kill someone or completely obliterate a robot within the 30 seconds with the guns they have on them, they somehow heal. And no one knows how. But Kreig used his Guardian Angel skill, I think it was Guardian Angel, where he presses, where you revive instantly a downed comrade, and then that downed comrade, and then he goes down. instead of the downed comrade, which is very useful in a co-op game, unless you're all Kriegs, which then leave one person without it. But since he what was it? Since he used that skill, his instincts kicked in and he thought he was downed. So he pulled out a stick of dynamite, ready to go all suicidal Krieg, which is another one of his skills, light the fuse. Where while he's down, he runs around like a normal person, but instead of a gun, he has a stick of dynamite. And now, the therapist is like, oh crap, he's having nightmares. Krieg is currently in a ball, and he doesn't look sad, but his eyes are watering, and no one can see that because he's in a ball facing the wall. The therapist has her hand reached around his head, touching his forehead. He's crying, but he fell asleep because of the therapist. Her ability puts the other person that she touches to sleep while she talks to them. Hold on, I'll be right back. Okay, I'm back. I was like a 30-second break. Water break. So, Krieg ran around like a crazy person after an hour of being asleep again. Everybody left the room thinking, okay, he's fine now. And all of a sudden they hear him go Buzzak's Rampage and start hitting stuff. And like, oh crap, he's going on a rampage. Maya, get in there. Maya goes in, and he immediately calms down, seeing that she's fine, because he had another nightmare that she's dying again, or that she died, and he wanted vengeance on the thing. But there's nothing there. He runs over, and this is the very first time he's ever showed emotions. Krieg has ever showed emotions to anything, except for wanting to protect people, because this is still a what if Deku, and Deku has the instinct to protect as many people as he sees, unless he's going crazy with Buzzak's Rampage. So they've controlled the ability of Buzzak's Rampage so he doesn't go completely psychotic, so he can identify friend from foe in Buzzak's Rampage within this year. They've used hypnosis to show that everybody who identifies as a pro hero will make him think that they'll protect Maya. They are joining him in his cause to protect Maya, because he's grown completely attached and obsessed with protecting Maya. But he still helps other people. So after Maya goes in, he calms down, he starts tearing up, running to her and hugging her, which completely shocks Maya, and she hugs him back and started to pat his, right now, 6'7" tall head. So he's currently 6'7" tall. I don't know how many centimeters that is if you're watching this in a different country, but he's currently 6'7". He's at All Might's, since All Might's, I think Midoriya is 5'11", I think? Maybe 5'5", around there in canon. And he's half of All Might's size. If he's half All Might, no, he's a little bit taller than half All Might's size. But I think Shoji, the Dupla Arms character, is All Might's height. He's going to be taller than Shoji at the end when he gets into UA. But he's currently at All Might's shoulders. And he's only 11, 12 years old. 11 years old. Because I made him 10 in the last part. He's only 11 years old. And Maya starts patting his head. Remember, Maya's 6'3" in borderlands, so I'm gonna increase her height just a tiny bit so she can actually reach his head. So by the end of this, she's gonna be 6'6" and 6 millimeters. 6'6" with 6 millimeters. Now that he's calmed down and he's shown emotions, they're like, oh crap, we found out what will calm him down. So they call in another hypnotist to hypnotize him, that if he goes completely crazy, if he originally knew that they're friendly, they turn into images of Maya. So he will protect them with his life if he has to. So civilians will get protected. Heroes will get protected. And he gains the ability to attach dynamite to his buzz axes, which is another skill Kreig has, which is freaking overpowered. But since he gains that skill, they're like, oh crap, if he goes into Buzz X Rampage now and he completely loses it, he's gonna be freaking unstoppable. And he's already been attacked by One for All. Or All for One. And All for One tried to take his quirk, Buzz X Rampage. And he saw that it's connected to a voice in his head. And that it can only be used with the voice now. And he can't take the voice. So he's like, yeah, this is not worth it. And he throws Kreig to the ground and goes after Maya for her blood curdle. And this is like a few days after they hypnotize him to protect everybody he sees that he knew was friendly with a image of Maya. And he goes after the real Maya. Kreig sees this and is like, you piece, pardon my swearing, but this is gonna be a little explicit with the words. You piece of fucking shit, don't touch her. And he says that. The logic, Deku, and Kreig all combine into one for that split second before they go completely crazy. So he said, you piece of fucking shit, don't touch her. Every hero heard that were at the scene, and they're like, oh crap, he's going Blood Axe. He's going to go Blood Axe Rampage completely. And they're like, everybody get out. We're in danger if we stay here. All Might immediately shows up a few seconds after, being like, what the hell is happening? And why is Kreig glowing? I'm going to say Hawks is a hero earlier. He's a hero with Mirko. And he's like, Kreig is going Blood Axe Rampage, and with you saying that he can blow shit up with it, we're getting out. And All Might's like, you don't need to worry. We hypnotized him that says all friendly people that are civilians or pro heroes or cops or firefighters, everybody who saves people while he's in Blood Axe Rampage looks like Maya. And the real Maya he could still identify. Because if we didn't allow him that, he would have gone crazy with too many Mayas and started killing them. Because of one of his dreams. So Hawks is like, will that even work? They hear a giant roar from Kreig, and he went into his release the beast mode because he was severely injured. And All Might's like, I haven't seen that before. Then all of a sudden, Kreig jumps as high as he can and throws his buzz axe as hard as he can. All for One turns around at the last second to see this massive axe coming straight for him. And he's like, what the hell is that? So he uses one of his hardening quirks, well, all of his hardening quirks, to completely nullify it. But what he doesn't know is that while he's in Release the Beast form, there's no way to stop the buzz axe. So the buzz axe lands in his chest, like, and this is a endgame spoiler, so you can skip like a few seconds, like how Thor's axe lands into Thanos' chest. So the axe is just hanging out of his chest with a stick of dynamite that is ready to blow up. A few seconds later, it blows up. So, All for One is now missing part of his chest, one arm, and a little bit of his jaw. And he's like, oh crap, that fucking hurt. I need to retreat. But before he can, Kreig is already up right next to him and swings his axe down, cutting him in half. Then he swings it again, cutting his head off, and swings it again, blowing him up because he threw his axe. And All Might's like, okay, we really cannot piss him off. Then he calms down, he goes back to normal Kreig, which you see in the picture, and runs over to Maya, hugs her, and sees that she's completely fine, just knocked out. So he calms down completely, and his mental images, his Logic, Deku, and Kreig all split apart again. But this time, Kreig lets Deku have the wheel. And Kreig starts talking fluently. And he just cusses constantly. And he walks over to All Might while he's fluently mumbling. Yes, I'm going to keep him with that. I need to fucking be in UA. And All Might's just awestruck because this is the first time that he's heard Kreig not yell random stuff. So, there we go. He's like, okay, 4 years you can be in UA. And then he immediately retorts as, I'm in her class. And All Might is like, you're gonna have to talk to Nezu about that. But she is 1 year older than you, so she's gonna be in a year earlier. And he literally just says, her class. And Nezu at this point found out that the situation is over with, and Kreig stopped All for One. What they don't know is that since Kreig's blood axe absorbs blood, and the vitality of the other combatant that he just killed, All for One's quirk was based on his vitality. So he was pretty much immortal. So Kreig gets All for One, and he doesn't know. So by the end of this, he's going to be fucking immortal. But I'm going to say that his buzz axe holds his quirk. His buzz axe is his quirk and holds his quirk. So the only way to actually give or receive quirks is to puncture the skin with his buzz axe. So 3 years later, after talking with Nezu about being in her class, hold on, I have to do something. Okay, I'm back. I just had to do something for my parents. So Nezu agreed because he found out what happened, and Hawks relayed play by play what happened after the battle, while Kreig is currently in the infirmary getting a checkup by a recovery girl, and he's currently still holding Maya, who's passed out. And he's not letting go of Maya because he's like, she almost died, and I don't want her to die. I don't want her to leave me. I don't want anybody to leave me. I don't want to be alone again. Which he's still frightened that he'll kill her, but not as much anymore because of the hypnotizing. He's frightened that he'll see a Maya who doesn't answer any of his questions correctly, and he'll be like, oh crap, this is not the real Maya, and start going on a rampage, being like, where the hell is the real Maya? He can identify who the real Maya is because the Mayas that he sees that aren't the actual Maya don't have tattoos. They don't have tattoos. So he's like, okay, that's the real Maya. The crazy logic and Kreig, logic, and Deku all know Maya tattoos. Since Maya's face doesn't have any tattoos on it, he looks at the face, he's like, protect everybody. But when he looks at the arm, he's like, real one. Don't touch real one. So he knows that he won't hurt her if he's in completely crazy mode. I know that I'm just rambling right this second, but I need to tell myself it multiple times that he won't hurt Maya, because that's the entire story. Is in Borderlands 3 is he's stuck in a cave trying to talk to himself and understand himself and calm himself down so he knows, so he can talk to Maya again, so he can actually talk to her. That's the story of Kreig in Borderlands 3. Until you run into the, first of all, you encounter in Borderlands 3, which I'm not going to spoil that. So, after the after 3 years, Maya goes into the entrance exams. And since Nezu agreed that he can stay with Maya as long as he wants, he walks with her into the entrance exams. And he looks like he's already a adult because he's already 8 foot. I think I said he was going to be 8'7", taller than All Might, which I'm going to say All Might's like 8'5". So he already looks like an adult. So they're all like, why are you here? And before he can respond, Maya says, he's here because he's taking the exams. So he doesn't have to talk. Because he'll just say random things, even though the effects of Kreig going into basically a sleep mode, so Deku can talk, is gone. So Kreig currently has the wheel, and he sees everybody as they're friendly. But Ida still has to be a asshole and say that he's cheating whenever he has the buzz axe before the start of the test. He's like, you can't have that here. And Maya immediately has to get in between them, being like, that's his quirk. When she saw that his eyes started going bloodshot and he's about to attack Ida for Ida acting hostile. And Ida's like, okay, show me. So Maya asks him very sweetly, can you please throw your axe at the wall? No, she says, can you please throw 2 axes at the wall? And Kreig immediately throws one really hard, leaving a indentation in the wall and it stuck in the wall. And Ida's like, oh crap, I almost pissed him off. And then he sees that another one flies over his head while the first one is still stuck in the wall. So I was like, okay, I believe you now. And Nezu has already informed the teachers that he won't kill any of the students. He'll just hurt them really freaking badly if they attack Maya or if they show hostility towards him. Because he can understand that they're trying to be heroes. And then he sees what looks like a dog in his eyes, the angry Pomeranian. The angry Pomeranian yelling at people that they're all extras and that he's going to be number 1 in this test. So Maya invented her own weaponry because I'm going to say that the sirens can create Maliwan weaponry. They can only create Maliwan weaponry because of their siren abilities. No one can use Iridian injection, even though Iridium is everywhere. And that's mainly what people use for their hero suits nowadays, is Iridium. Because it constantly regrows, and it's easier to repair than steel or anything, but still harder and stronger than steel. So, Kreig's buzz axe, I'm going to say, looks like a steel weaponry, but with his quirk, he can summon an Iridium buzz axe to deal as more damage. And his Iridium one has the explosive abilities. So when he's completely gone crazy with the mutated psycho or the badass psycho mode, which is release the beast, he gets the iridium buzz axe. Because of his strength, he needs it more durable. But when he's just normally using a buzz axe, he he's using a steel one. So the test starts, and Maya tells Kreig, destroy as many robots as you can while I do the same. Maya pulls out a SMG, a shock and fire SMG, and starts using it. This is going to be the Tsunami from Borderlands 3. So she starts using it, and it has a charge up time. So she's got, by the time the 0-pointer comes out, she's gotten 30 robots destroyed and has around 60 points. You can divide it up however you want between the 1-pointers, 2-pointers, the 3-pointers. And I'm going to say that the practical test is before the written test, because Nezu knows that he needs to tire out Kreig before Midoriya or Deku can come out. Because Deku has said his name to only Nezu, because he trusts Nezu with his name. And he doesn't want to be in Midoriya anymore, because he was left in the middle of nowhere. So, he runs in right when the doors open, and everybody's like, what the hell, is he cheating? And President Mike is like, there's no countdowns in a real battle. Get the hell in there. And before they can even walk through the gate, they hear a strange roar from inside the gate, and they're like, we don't want to go in there. And President Mike's like, calm down, Kreig. Like, who the hell is Kreig? And Maya's like, oh crap. Wait out here for a minute exactly. She runs in and she uses her phase lock ability immediately. And everybody sees the tattoos glowing, and they're like, oh crap. She's going to be in the Vault Hunter course. Because I'm going to say there's multiple courses. The Vault Hunter course, the what is it? The Vault Hunter course, the Hero course, and the General course and Sport course. So it's 1A for Vault Hunter, 1B for Hero, and then 1C for the second Hero course, and 1D for the General, 1S. 1S. Not E, 1S. Because they don't have an E. It's if you fail in General, you get kicked out. 1S for support. And nobody knows that, except for the applicants to UA, because they get told this when they apply. And they're like, when you apply, you get told this, so we don't need to tell anybody. So after a minute exactly, they're like, the time resume. President Mike is like, ground beta, the time resumes. Please enter the combat zone. And like, okay, that's strange. And they see 50 completely obliterated robots, and a kreig stuck in the air yelling random things at the robots. While Maya is just like, okay, the time has restarted. I need to destroy robots. So she slowly releases her phase lock on Kreig, and he drops to the ground, and then he starts destroying robots again. But he doesn't activate his Buzzak's rampage, because he sees that there's a lot more people here, and they came in while he was stuck. Because I'm going to say the punishment for using the Buzzak's rampage at the wrong time is that he can't hug Maya for a whole week. And that completely breaks him, and he's like, yeah, I'm not doing that. But he wasn't told before the test not to activate it. When President Mike explained it, he said, use your quirk as much as possible to see how well you work with it. I'm going to say it's the Angry Pomeranian is Zane. And yeah, why not? All Might is also a Vault Hunter. He was the very first Vault Hunter without a quirk. And he went to UA and got into the Vault Hunter course by punching his way through robots. And Nana Shimura, I'm going to say, was a teacher at UA at the time. So that's how he got all for one, or one for all. One for all. That's how he got it, because he proved himself to Nana Shimura. So that's also why he's the strongest person. And people are like, okay, the only reason All Might is called All Might is because his predecessor for vault hunting was called Brick. And he found that out after he started punching stuff, and all of a sudden he punched through something, and he's like, okay, I'm more powerful than a normal person. I need to look up my abilities. So I looked up Vault Hunters because he knew he was a reincarnation of Vault Hunter, and he found Brick. So yes, All Might is the reincarnation of Brick. Brick has the ability to punch through things very quickly and add elements to his punches. So I'm going to say that he uses wind pressure as his element. He uses wind pressure as his element. Crap, I'm almost out of time. So, I can go a little longer, right? Yeah, I can go a little longer. This is going to be a little longer than the last one. So, this is after the exam is over. Kreig saw the 0-pointer and went crazy, but before Maya could actually hold him down with phase lock, she saw the 0-pointer and was like, you destroy that, cancel the ability, and you can still hug me. And Kreig immediately started nodding, destroyed the 0-pointer without collateral damage. And everybody was running away being like, okay, that was freaking cool. And since this is the first time he activated Buzzak's Rampage, he was severely beaten and shot up by the robots. The robots had an AI system in them being like, okay, we see this person with this face, no, this person with this mask, we can shoot him. Anybody else we have to hit. So they were shooting at Kreig. They shot him up. He had bullet holes through him. And when he activated his Blood Axe Rampage, he had Wolverine regeneration. So all the bullets holes started to close and the bullets were spat out. And then he runs at the zero pointer with this massive arm and he immediately just strikes at it, completely blowing it up. It was completely obliterated. One of the mechanics in Borderlands 1, 2, and 1, 2, the pre-sequel, and 3 is that when they get hit with more damage, like I think it's 2 times more damage after their health bar than their health bar, they splatter. So the zero pointer took more damage than it could withstand 3 times over. So it completely disintegrated, leaving no collateral damage, and everybody was fine. And Nezu was like, holy crap, this reincarnation is strong. Don't show this to Mirko or any of the battle-hungry Vault Hunters. And I'm going to say Bakugo, the Angry Pomeranian, or also known as Zane, was there, and he had the Digiclone ability. And no, he didn't have Digiclone. I'm going to say, who would be best for Bakugo? He had Amara's ability. Not Amara. Aurelia Hammerlock's ability. Because she is a Vault Hunter in Borderlands pre-sequel. That's what I'm thinking of. And he saw this and he's like, who the hell is he? Does he think he's better than me? Because I'm the best around. That snobby, and I quote, this is a quote from Borderlands as the pre-sequel, rich bitch personality. And I quoted that straight from Aurelia's mouth. I'm a rich biatch. So he was throwing an ice shard around and it was freezing the enemies, and he just walks up, blows them up with his quirk, because yes, he still has the explosion quirk. And everything goes to canon, basically, with Bakugo this time getting third, Kreig getting first, and Maya getting second. Because Maya had her Acid Rain ability, she had her Singularity Phase Lock ability, she had pretty much everything on her skill tree maxed out. Bakugo, who had just the ice path maxed out. And Kreig currently has the Blood Explosion and Release the Beast maxed out. So when he obliterated the zero pointer, there was a 1 pointer at its feet. The zero pointer re-blew up, and everybody's like, what the hell happened? and it looked like blood was coming out of the explosion. Then the one pointer got touched by a piece of blood, by a speck of blood, and blew up. What they don't know is that each time a Vault Hunter gets a kill, and if they've worked on their Vault Hunter ability enough, they have these things called kill skills. So all of a sudden, Kreig starts laughing, and all the robots in the area start blowing up in blood, and it looks like a explosion of blood explosion. So the last one that was about to blow up the rest, he's blown up 13 different robots with one explosion, and the rest of them that were about to blow up were separated by one robot because it has a blast radius. Maya picked up that robot and threw it at where the zero pointer was. So no more explosions go off. Because if the blood touches anybody that is not considered a Vault Hunter, it could kill them very easily. But I'm going to say that blood explosion doesn't go off unless he's in Release the Beast form. So after that, Kreig was mentally drained, so Deku took over. Then he started speaking in normal, fluent sentences, and he was saying, and pretty much all he can think of while he's in the same room as Maya is how pretty Maya is and how much he likes her. So all he says is compliments to Maya, which is like, oh crap, he needs to go into the other room, take his test, then he can come back and pamper me with more compliments. Because their relationship grew over the 3 years that we skipped. So they can't go to normal restaurants with Deku or Kreig. They can't go to normal restaurants. So they order out basically all their food. So they went on one date before the entrance exams, and Kreig was overjoyed. And Logic and Deku convinced Kreig to combine with them so they can make a really good impression on Maya. And so they can hug her more. And they don't remember how, but they somehow convinced that Kreig that kissing Maya is better than a hug. So after the date, Maya started to show feelings for Kreig. Deku and Logic picked up on it, but Kreig didn't. He's just the I want to fight personality. Deku's the I understand emotions. I know emotions. Logic is like, I can see everything. I know how everything works. So Logic is how they get around town. Deku's how they talk to people. And Kreig is how they fight. So after the date, they walk back into the house, and Kreig, Deku, and Logic were all, okay, we need to do this, 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 and this. So Kreig, in his weird way, asks why. And how he does that is he says, see the numbers, taste the violence. That's how he says what, why, where, and when. What, why, when, and how and where. Those kinds of questions. And he points at different things. So in their minds, and he says these random things, and they're like, yes, we do this, 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 and this to do this. So he can hug her. And Kreig is immediately into this. Hold on, I need to take a drink of water. So Kreig, with his infinite wisdom, takes control. But before he could say anything, Deku takes control again and says to Kreig, in their minds, what are you doing? I know you like Maya as much as us, but if you want this to happen and make her feel good, let me have control. And Kreig basically asks why, and Deku, who reminds him that I can talk, you can't, and I have better motor skills than you do. You are good at fighting. I am good at talking. He's good at whatever he does. And Logic is like, I'm good at logic. And Deck is like, yeah, whatever. And Kreig found this funny. And he starts laughing in their minds. And Deku is like, see? That is normal person behavior. Not the psychopathic kill everything and only protect one person behavior like we've been showing. If we show that kind of behavior, she'll like us more. And we can make her feel better. And after that night, Maya fell in love with Kreig and his 6-inch long body part. It's a good thing that Kreig's room is soundproof. If you've made it this far into the video, congrats. I'm surprised that you are even still here because of how bad the story is. I need input into stories. Like, what have I done wrong? What can I make better? Of my commentary, of what I've been saying, doing. So if you can put that in the comments, I'd love you for that. And if you could subscribe, you'd become part of the ungraceful family. It's like one of the toads from Naruto says, I'm ungraceful, but I'll do what I can. I still need to find out what his name is. It's not Gamabunta. It's not Gamakichi. God, what is his name? I'll look it up later. I'll probably put it in the comments or in the description. But what after that day, Maya uses that to control Kreig a little bit better. So Kreig has been learning slowly, but he's been learning normal human speech. So he doesn't just say, I want a new meat bicycle whenever he's rampaging. He just starts screaming like random fighting words like blood, guts, then just starts laughing. And he can speak in semi-complete sentences. Instead of just having food, yes and no, he now can say the food is cold or I am hungry. He's still not he's still one of the brightest people they have there. His IQ whenever logic and deku take over is more than Nezu's, but Kreig is in control 90% of the time. So, back to the entrance exams. Kreig is currently in a room with Maya, and Maya says, you won't get to, I won't be able to feel happy, or I won't feel happy if you don't get into class with me. So she pulls out a paper and says the only way you can get into class is if this paper is 50% right or up. And Deku explains to Kreig that 50% right is this answer, this answer, this answer, all the way down the paper. And then he sees the last question. And he's like, oh crap, we don't need to do anything. So he just tells Kreig to slide the paper back to Maya. And then you can hug her. And Kreig does it immediately, slides it back to Maya, gets up, walks around, and hugs Maya. And this is the first time that Kreig has ever said a complete sentence that anybody who hears it can understand. I love you, to Maya. And Maya is awestruck that he said a complete sentence that made sense, not I hungry or it cold, or no, cold it, and has to point or do something strange to signify what he means. He just says I love you while hugging Maya, and she's like, I love you too. And then she calls him his first nickname. And anybody who's watched Black Clover should know this nickname. She calls him, she says, I love you too, my cheery berserker. If anybody knows who that is and is watching this, congrats. You've made it this far into the video, and you know who the cheery berserker is. If you know who that is, and you're still in this far in the video, please like, comment what I'm doing wrong in these videos, please. I'll get back to you as fast as freaking possible. If I ever see a comment on one of my videos, I'll try to get back to you as fast as possible. Where was I? And then she's like, okay, now I need to take my test. And then Kreig says, need no. And she started to understand that when he replies, it's caveman speak. And he can't quite comprehend that he needs to say no need instead of need know. So she's like, okay, let's go home. They go home. They have a fun night. The next day, Principal Nezu shows up at the door and asks to see Kreig. Kreig walks out of the room without a shirt. He never wears a shirt. He wears his harness, but he currently doesn't have that on, and he wears um um bandages on his arms most of the time. But he currently doesn't have that on. He just has his pants on. He goes commando most of the 90% of the time. So all he needs to do is pull on and pull off his pants. Nezu asks to see Kreig, and All Might calls Kreig down because Maya and Kreig live with All Might. He calls them down, and Kreig is smiling. Not the I just killed something smile, the I'm having the best time of my life not fighting right now smile. And All Might has seen this before, and he knows exactly what happened because he's walked by Kreig's room. Even though it's soundproof, some noise still comes through the door while Maya and Kreig were in there. And he immediately knows what happened, and he's like, had fun? Kreig just nods. And he tells Principal Nezu, I'll tell you later. But now, what did you want to ask Kreig? And he asks Kreig who did the test. And Kreig writes in the air D. He writes a D in the air. He puts a K in the air for Kreig. He puts an L in the air for logic. And puts a D in the air for deku. And logic and deku, logic was like, we don't need to do this. Heroes aren't required to take tests and do all this stuff. And Deku's like, yes, but I still want to look over the test. So Deku read all the questions and like, oh crap, logic is right. Kreig, don't do anything to the test. So he thought Deku solved it. So he puts a D in the air for Deku. And Principal Nezu is Principal Nezu is thinking, oh, logic probably said that nothing needs to be done, and Deku retorted that he wants to look over the test. So Kreig puts a D in the air. And then starts walking back to his room. Principal Nezu immediately retorts saying, don't go anywhere, I have some news. You and Maya got first and second place in the entrance exams. And you and Maya are in the Vault Hunter class. 1A. Maya walks out of the room without a shirt on. All she has is a sports bra and short shorts. So All Might looks away, and Nezu is just still staring at Maya, being like, yes, you are in the Vault Hunter course. So she's like, yay, I got into the best course in UA. And Principal Nezu immediately retorts as, you're also going to be taking the hero course, because the Vault Hunter course only has 3 people in it. The Vault Hunter course is only open to people who are considered reincarnations of Vault Hunters. And Maya's like, that makes sense. Who else is in it? And he immediately says, Katsuki Bakugo. And Maya is like, oh, god damn it. When he hears the I don't want to see him again kind of attitude in Maya's voice, when he hears that attitude in her voice, he starts getting mad, Kreig, and he starts shouting random things again. Maya immediately, he phase locks his parts and starts squeezing. And she says, no fun later. And Kreig immediately knows, don't do that again. So the hero course is now moved up to 1A. Is now moved into the classroom of 1A. But the Vault Hunter course still has to stay after class for a little bit. So Aizawa is teaching the hero course, and All Might is teaching the Vault Hunter course. So we skip 1 week. Deku has learned a few more words, or Kreig has learned a few more words, and Maya has had the pleasure of sparring with Kreig. So she said, no fun unless you fight me. And his face paled. Then he went up to him and clarified, no weapon, no buzz axe, no rampage, no dynamite. So he tilts his head confused, and since Kreig's weapon is normally always in his hand, whenever he closes his hand, it normally shows up. So he always has one on his nightstand. She picks it up and shows a don't use sign. Then we have a stick of dynamite in the room. They have a stick of dynamite in the room for the don't use sign. She puts it next to the don't use sign and shakes her head with the buzz axe still in her hand. So she puts the dynamite and the buzz axe down. So she grabs a small piece of cloth that works as a glove for his right hand, because it shows up in his right hand whenever he closes it. Kind of can't control some of his quirks sometimes. So what happens, since there's 3 Vault Hunters in UA, Principal Nezu fixed up the new U station completely. So the Vault Hunters can't die whatsoever. Oh, my parents are home. Well, it looks like my parents are home. So the Vault Hunters can't die whatsoever. because they constantly respawn if they die. So Kreig, he starts to pout like a little child because he doesn't want to fight Maya. Then she says, extra fun if fight. And Kreig immediately knows what's going to go down. And he gets ready and picks her up bridal style and runs to UA. 5 minutes later, they're sparring in ground beta. Well, I'm going to end it here because I got to get ready to do something else for normal life. But something fun's going to happen in the first day. So, see you guys next time. Probably tomorrow. But see ya. Bye.